Probably 6 people. 5 to 6 people.
I gotta go get some bottle.
And Costa, after in the Easter time, people they celebrate on the 23rd St. George, and they do panegyric, and they invite everybody who is there. I don't know for how long this happens, but that usually what we call the Greek.
Please on last table.
Bottle?
Red, yeah.
The whole bottle?
Yeah. Woodridge.
Tsakopoulos, and I'm the president of the Bay Area Greek American Business Association. On behalf of the association, I would like to welcome you all here. A friend of mine earlier said, what a great night for the Greek community. And I looked around and I realized that he was right. I'm going to plagiarize what he said. What a great night for the Greek community. We have quite a few dignitaries here with us, and we have a very, very dynamic and highly energetic group. I would like to take a moment and welcome a person we all appreciate and love and respect, our own Senator Nicholas Petris. Also, it gives me a great pleasure to announce that we have with us tonight another person we all love and respect, the former mayor of San Francisco, Mr. Art Agnos. And representing the Greek consulate, we have here the consul, Mr. Vasilis Papadopoulos. I'm going to take just a few minutes before our Vice President Michael Meniktas introduces our very distinguished guest speaker tonight. The creation of this association was long overdue. Many people have mentioned that. I've talked to many people and said it was long overdue. What it took was a group of 7 individuals getting together and deciding to go ahead with it. And I was just discussing very briefly with the former mayor, Art Agnos, that it took hours and weeks and months of hard work, but we finally did it. And seeing this type of group here tonight makes me feel very, very proud and makes me feel that all this work was worth it. Ladies and gentlemen, this association is uniting individuals that have ambition, men, women, old and young, Philhellenes, people who love Greeks, have nothing against Greeks, and we love them too, and we accept them as members. Greeks with an accent, like myself, all Greeks born in this country, all of them dynamic and energetic. The goal of the association is to take this dynamism and high energy and transform it into specific results through referrals, cooperation, and working together. Working together, supporting each other. What's wrong with that? We benefited as individuals. The Greek American community is benefited. The community at large is benefited. Of course, we had the skeptics, we had the pessimists who would say, and it happened to me personally, you're wasting your time. Greeks never help each other. Why are you wasting your time? we, members of Bagaba, we are working against the stereotypes. We believe that yes, we can help each other, we can benefit each other. And we're here tonight to prove it. I'm going to take only a couple more minutes and tell you about the benefits that you get. You become a member of this association. What you get? A directory. Have you seen our directory? We have spent months and months to put it together. It's very, very well done. It gives you a very easy reference with a picture of the member. You have all the information, background, telephones, fax numbers. By becoming a member, you get a free subscription to the Hellenic Journal. And this is a great form of communication. This is the source where we find out where the future events will happen. There is a newsletter that comes out every 3 or 4 months. But most importantly, we are organizing the so-called networking mixers. Now, what are the networking mixers? They're not simple social events that we get together, have a couple of drinks and tell jokes. These are really working sessions. We sit together in tables of 10, like you are sitting right here. We introduce each other. We take 5 minutes, everybody, and at the end of the meeting, we leave knowing at least 8 or 9 individuals, seeing how they present themselves, having their business cards and getting ready to do business. Now, becoming a member is one thing. You write your check for $100, you receive your directory, a newsletter. You've got to participate. In order for this group to succeed, we all have to be active. We have to participate. We cannot sit and wait for things to happen. And I'm going to use an expression that a politician used a few days ago. He said there is 3 types of individuals. The ones who make things happen. Number 2, another type of individuals. The ones who sit on their butt and watch things happening. And there's a 3rd type of individuals, the ones who say, hey, what's happening? So we, members of Bagaba, we belong to the 1st type of individuals. We want to. That's the only thing we're going to succeed. That's the only way we're going to increase our membership and produce the results. Without any more delay, I would like to ask our Vice President, Mr. Michael Menitas, to come to the podium and introduce our special guest. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Bay Area Greek American Business Association, it is indeed a pleasure and an honor to welcome in our presence this evening a man who exemplifies the virtues we as Greeks throughout history have been known to cherish and value. Those of hard work, active in his church and community, and going the extra mile to help his friends, and providing the leadership to champion the social and political causes which have affected our Greek communities, not only locally, but also on the national level. Angelo Tsakopoulos, a larger-than-life figure, starting in his own real-life Horatio Alger success story, began in the 1950s. Arriving in this country at the age of 14 years of age, traveling alone, Angelo faced the prospects of an unknown future in his new world. After briefly staying with relatives in the Chicago area, he came to Lodi, California, and stayed with an American family. He attended school, worked odd jobs, which included picking fruit in the San Joaquin Valley area. As time passed, Angelo moved to the Sacramento area, attending the Sacramento State University, working in a restaurant, first as a busboy, and then later being promoted to waiter. Close to this time, he began buying and selling homes for his own personal investments. As time progressed, he broadened his focus in real estate by acquiring raw land throughout the Sacramento area. Today, Angelo Tsakopoulos is founder, president, and owner of AKT Development Corporation, one of Sacramento's largest real estate development firms. Beginning his land development projects in 1960, he emerged as one of the most prominent, civic-minded businessmen in Northern California. In preparing land for residential and commercial builders, he has become known for his innovative planning, which has anticipated Sacramento's changing needs as a high-growth area while being sensitive to its environmental concerns. Mr. Tsakopoulos has donated land for schools, art galleries, museums, hospitals, and senior citizens' facilities. His accomplishments and achievements are many. In May of 1991, the George School of Law awarded Mr. Tsakopoulos an honorary Doctor of Law degree, citing his work as a community leader, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. In April 1991, he was the honorary chairman of the HEPA celebration on Ellis Island to honor the Greek immigrant. In 1990, he was a recipient of the Sacramento Regional Excellence Award, also the Anti-Defamation League's Distinguished Service Award. In 1989, he was a Man of the Year for the Axios Foundation for Worthiness, and the previous year, he was given the National HEPA Man of the Year Award. Angelo has not forgotten his roots. He assisted in the establishment of the Konstantzakis Chair for the Modern Greek Studies Foundation at San Francisco State University. He has also funded similar chairs at UC Berkeley and Davis, and also at Dartmouth College. More recently, he became the driving force behind the establishment of the Baroni Center for Study of Hellenism, an academic research center and think tank based in the Sacramento area. Angelo is a founder and current president of Vietnamese, a political action committee which supports great political candidates running for office in our local and national political systems. Angelo is married to Sophia Leonis Tsakopoulos and is the father of 6 children and has 3 grandchildren. In conclusion, Angelo has left an indelible mark on the Greek community in that he has consistently endeavored to include within his business activities many young fellow Greek Americans. He has given them the opportunity to develop their skills and place them on a level playing field where they have met and exceeded all expectations. He has done this unselfishly, and he has been gratified by their successes and achievement. We at the Bay Area Greek American Business Association extend our congratulations and honor his accomplishments, which will be held as a role model for others to follow. Angelo, is indeed an honor to have you as our guest speaker this evening. And would everybody please join me in giving Angelo a warm welcome this evening.
Thank you, Michael Aparaitas. Ladies and gentlemen, what a pleasure it is to be with you this evening. Thank you very, very much for the invitation. I am thrilled to see so many young people, so much enthusiasm, so much energy. We get together usually and we speak about the achievements of our ancestors. But tonight I see the people that will achieve today's achievements, all of you. I'm very pleased to have here, to see here my mentor, Nicholas Petras, who almost 30 years ago, at a happening not too different than this one here, talked me into paying a little more attention to the Greek issues. At that time, Greece had gone into a dictatorship, and I didn't know any better. I thought that was the best thing that could happen to the Greeks. Somebody to put him down and put him to work and all that kind of stuff. And Nick straightened me out in a hurry. And appreciative because since then we have had the opportunity to discuss the great issues of Hellenism, which are indeed the founding blocks, and more than that, the spring that keeps the Western civilization alive. And all of you, Hellenes and Philhellenes, because we must remember the ancient Greeks said, you do not have to be born a Greek. You must have the Greek pedia, the Greek education, to be a Hellene. So we are all Hellenes. And we belong to that group that founded Western civilization and indeed is the spring to make sure that the Western civilization stays alive. And all of you, every one of you, especially the young ones, have a responsibility to America to make sure that Hellenism stays strong and vibrant. Our group, our age group that is getting older and is leaving, has not done an exceptional job in educating the American people of what Hellenism is about. But you will do that. That's not why I'm up here to speak to you about Hellenism, but God knows I can talk for hours. I was asked to come and speak to you about the real estate business in general and real estate development in particular. And since I have been in that business for approximately 30 years, it is indeed a pleasure to share a few ideas with you. I started in the real estate business while I was a waiter at Johnson's Del Prado. Some of you know Johnson's Del Prado. Georgie Johnson was a fellow Greek that lived in Sacramento, a tremendous individual, quite a Democrat. He made a run for state treasurer of the state of California and came very close to winning. He had many great ideas. Among them was to help young people, Greeks or non-Greeks. I happen to be one of those young Greeks, young people, and happened to be a Greek, so he gave me a chance to work with them and to, I could tell them what hours I could work at the restaurant while I was going to college. There one day, I met another fella, a young fella that was in the real estate business. We were discussing that time the engineers that were graduating from college at that time were getting a tremendous amount of money, $550 a month. I mean, that was a lot of money. And he said, well, you know, I had a chance to really have a great month last month. What happened? How much? What happened? I made $2,500. $2,500. What do you do? He says, well, I'm in real estate. Well, what do you do? What is that? I had no idea what you did if you were in real estate. He says, well, I go to this model home and people come in and I take their orders, and if they purchase a home, I get a commission. And, well, what do you get? Well, I get 1.5% of whatever the house sells for. The way it works is there's a 6% commission. At that time, this Arts and Cook company in Sacramento paid 6%, a full commission. Half of it went to the house, a quarter to the listing person, and a quarter to the salesperson. That was a tremendous amount of money, $2,500. That was unbelievable. Well, and what else do you do? Well, sometimes we sell land and we sell buildings. Do they give part-time jobs there? No part-time jobs, but you know, there's a Greek guy not too far away that hires part-time salespeople. I went to see this fella, and he gave me a job. Those days for the real estate people here, it took about an hour and a half to take an exam and pass it and take your license. I studied maybe an hour or two. And lo and behold, while I was working in the restaurant, I was making many times more selling homes to the waiters, the waitresses, the cooks, and everybody else that would buy or sell anything than working in the restaurant. And before school was out, I decided I was not going to go to law school or any place else. I found something that I enjoyed. But something happened that put me in the correct direction. One of my customers at the Del Prado was an Indian fellow, Native American, by the name of Toad Crawford, who was an All-American from Iowa, by the way. And after I got my license and I made a few deals, I went to see Mr. Crawford, whom I knew because I would serve him quite often, and asked him if he had any advice for me. He took a moment and said, listen, why don't you come to my office at 11 o'clock Saturday morning, and I will talk to you there. I took him up on it. I went to his office. He happened to be at that time, he was a developer. He had the franchise for Pepsi-Cola in Sacramento, and he also had a cocktail lounge called the Crow's Nest. And on the tables, he had the USGS maps of the Delta and of Sacramento. So when I went in, he says, I've been waiting for you. I was hoping he would remember. He took me to the table that he wanted to show me and says, this is a USGS map. I'd never seen it until then, and I had a hard time figuring out where north and south was. And he says, I want to give you this advice. Don't go into homes, go into land. And here's an area in South Sacramento that is forgotten. At that time, they were building Highway 99, which was the Central Valley Highway, which is an old highway now, but at that time it was brand new. So that's how far back we go, back 1960, 32 years ago. And so go back in this area and work, get some listings. All those listings will sell because prices are low. This is how I started going into the land business. I listed some of the properties, and you know what? They would sell right away. I asked some people, well, how do you list? What do you do? And the advice was, just ask people for help. They will give it to you. Please remember that. And the American people are the most generous people in the world. They will give you advice. They will give you help if you ask for it. Ask for it specifically. And also, when you have the opportunity, please give it. It will help somebody. It may change somebody's life. It certainly changed mine. Let's talk about land. The limited source. God made so much, and until we start going to the moon and to the other planets, no more land will be made. Very interesting. You can make cars, you can make airplanes, you can make other toys. Only so much land is available. What causes value for land? Why is some land in Tokyo worth many, many thousands per square foot? $1 billion per acre. And in other places, in the United States even, you can buy it for 25 cents per acre. What is the difference? First of all, it's people. To have a square mile in one particular area that is populated by 5 people per square mile in that particular area. If the population doubles, without doing anything to the surrounding land, the value will quadruple. This is a fact. Check it if you like in your library. Analysis that have been made by scholars that know a lot more than I do. Other things, the utility. You are in this area, they are the different square miles, and the value of the land is $10 per acre. If the land is agricultural land without water, and you bring water, you use it for a better use. The utility changes, and you have irrigated land. Therefore, the value increases substantially. If you have a piece of land that is range land or even farmland, but not very good land, because we don't want to take good farmland and use it for anything else other than farmland unless absolutely necessary. But if you take this range land from the use of the cattle to range, and you turn it into ranchettes where people can buy 5 acres and build a home, you change the utility, value goes up. If you make it where 5 homes per acre can be built, the value also increases substantially, quite substantial. Of course, before you can have those uses, you have to have the infrastructure. And that is other additions that you do to the land to increase the value. You add a lot of value to it when you bring to the land additional benefits, such as, I mentioned water already, and I will keep mentioning water because that is something that is very difficult to find if you do not have it, and it's more valuable than gold. And all of you should remember that, especially in California, and especially in the near future and the distant future as you go on. But then you have other factors that play a big role, such as access to that particular land, the transportation, or as you in the Bay Area are blessed with the deep water, with the harbors, the deep water harbors, where people can come from all over the world easily. Or in the old days was the railroad, where the railroad went, where the railroad stopped, very, very valuable. The value is too high. What you could do is you could build a spur to your property to increase the value of the land. You could deepen the water, the harbor. You could put a channel the way we did in Sacramento. Not we, they did, whoever did it before my time, to put a channel, deep water channel for what, 25, 30 miles, so that boats from all over the world can come in. That benefits Sacramento a lot. Of course, freeway systems. I would like to show you some maps of, that show how development in different cities has taken place over the centuries. I don't know how well you can see this map, but later you can come up and take a look at it. This is Philadelphia in 1800 by the river. This is 1900, and this is today how the growth took place. New York City, 1760, 1800, the black, very tiny, and today. Next one is Chicago, 1850, 1875, 1900, and today, next to the lake. Tokyo, from 1880 to today. And London, from the mid-17th century to today. Come and take a look at it, but the reason I'm pointing this out to you is that you will see certain patterns develop when as cities develop. To come a little closer, I want to show you Sacramento. Here's Sacramento in 1910. That was the capital of California. Very tiny town. I can tell you what the population was, but it was very tiny. is 1935. You can see the way the growth took place. And if you go to your library and get the old maps out, you will see the reason Sacramento did not expand much to West Sacramento or even the north area was because there were barriers, and you can study the effect of different barriers. They did not have the bridges. They did not have the easy transportation. Very critical. And of course, why did Sacramento develop here? Because it had the rivers that gave it water, and it had transportation by boat during the gold rush. This is Sacramento in 1970. Tremendous growth, and as you can see, the growth has taken off to go north and northeast. Why did that happen? Because of the freeways. And of course, somewhat south, the barrier of the Sacramento River is still affecting the area. Again, remember the barriers and study them. And of course, today, our capital is growing very fast. The last 10 years grew by approximately 500,000 the region. And some of you probably read that Sacramento is destined to be the fastest growing city in California during the next 8 years, with anticipated growth of 500,000 people. That's a tremendous amount of growth. Another thing that gives value to land is status. Some people insist on living in a particular subdivision, and they will pay the extra price. That those kind of things can be worked. It can be through advertising and things such as that to achieve a high price. Now, as to where you should pick the land for your investments, you have to look at, first of all, if you do not know yourself, pick a good broker that is knowledgeable of the area, has had quite a bit of experience and give you help. But if you decide to do it yourself, or if you're in the business, check the maps and try to anticipate where growth will take place. First of all, if it will take place at all. If the area that you're looking at is on a fault, the earthquakes we're having in the pier, there's not going to be much growth. Don't go there. If the area is in a swamp, don't go there. You cannot drain it. It's not a good place to go. If it has wetlands, even if it's out country, but it has vernal pools with possible endangered species, you have to be very careful. Now, there's two sides to the endangered species, and I'll take a minute to tell you that we must be careful to protect our environment. We must be careful about our home, our ecos. However, we also must be careful not to believe a lot of the baloney that is thrown out by people that do not want anybody else near them. Not in my backyard group. I have mine to heck with you. That attempt and do find different ways to stop development. That must stop. That hurts the country, and it's the responsibility of everybody here to make sure that they do not succeed in stopping development. America without development will go nowhere. We must have it. It produces a tremendous amount of wealth, but what it really produces is housing for our people. our children, our parents, our neighbors. We must have a place for them to live. And in this country, the developers must provide them. The state, the nation cannot do it. They must not do it. They tried it in Russia and in other socialist countries. It did not work. The idea that the Swenson's Hawk that has a range from Red Bluff to the Tehachapi's and from the Coast Range to the foothills will be endangered if 1,000 acres develops or 5,000 acres develop in North Natomas, and that we must spend $100 million to provide a place for the Swenson Hawk. What are we talking about? What are we doing? Yet, by golly, they are successful to delay development. Or the giant garter snake, which has a habitat admitted by the environmentalist community from Red Bluff to the Tehachapi's, from the Coast Range to the foothills. Millions of acres. Yet we cannot develop in North Natomas unless hundreds of millions of dollars are spent. I mean, that's crazy. We cannot do that because who's going to pay for it? What are we doing? We're preventing our children from buying a home at a reasonable price. I thought I would point that out. Other things that you must look for, the different things that you must look for when you're buying or investing in a piece of land. Again, first of all, is a good broker, no substitute. Then water, which I mentioned before and I'll mention again. Drainage, very important. If the property is going to be underwater, it will not do you any good. Transportation, people must be able to get to it easily and away from it. It must have railroad, the old days, still if it's going to be industrial helps, highways now, or other expressways so people can go back and forth. Sewers are not absolutely necessary because you can build them, but if it's a small piece of land, you can't build a sewer plant for a small piece of land. So unless you're buying a huge parcel of land of several thousand acres, make sure the sewers are available or can be made available to the property somehow. Make sure there are no wetlands or endangered species if they are legitimate. You do not want to buy because the value will be zero. You cannot use the property. Of course, make sure you check with someone on the soils. You do not always have to have soils tests. In some areas you have to. In others you do not. But if the soils are bad, you cannot build on it. They will not hold the building. And of course, for you that live in areas that have earthquakes, be careful of earthquake faults. We don't have those in Sacramento, so we don't pay very much attention to it. The thing to look for carefully is try to buy near a successful development or where a successful developer is buying, because they will carry the water for you if you buy a small park. If you buy a major parcel, then you're on your own, you and your broker and your groups. Very important, and do remember this. If you are going to invest in real estate, especially in land, your money must be very patient. It must be long-term. God help the dollar if the dollar is going for the land, and God help the land if the land is going after the dollar. The discounts are enormous if you have to sell a piece of land when nobody else is buying. So if you're patient and you have chosen your land correctly, you will do very well. And the reason you will is because in California, we will have 6 million people the next 8 years. Those people must live somewhere, and the values will go up. Now, how do you develop your land? If you are going to do the planning yourself, in some cases, the neighbors will plan your property. If you have a small parcel, if you have a major parcel, you've got to plan it yourself with your land planner, your architects. Make sure that you pay attention that your plan is the best possible plan, first for the community and the nation. Don't look how you will make the extra dollar. You will make money, but do pay attention first that you build a project that is beneficial to the community. And I'll tell you why that will be very beneficial to you. Then see if you can change it in ways to make it a better project than what everybody else is doing. See if you can design the streets in a way that make it easier for the people that live in your project. See if you can cut the costs. Because if you can cut the costs, if you're more efficient, you will be able to sell the final product cheaper. I'm not saying to cheat on the quality, but you can have quality at the same time that you save money. The first thing is to make a better product than anybody else can do as for the community, and then to produce it as reasonably priced as possible. And the third thing is attempt to make it as quickly as you can. Time can kill a project. Time can wipe you out. Not only the interest carry can hurt you, but the variation in the marketplace. If you miss the time that your property is desirable for development, it can hurt you badly. You can lose it, especially if you improve the property and you have to carry bonds with it. The reason that you get a great benefit by paying attention to creating a project that's good for all the community, for your city or for the whole United States, is that when you present your project for approval, you will find ears that are receptive. The people that make the decisions, the politicians, will accept your project, or they will have a very hard time to tell you no if there is no reason to tell you no, and there are compelling reasons to tell you yes. There are people that submit projects and get them approved one after the other. And the question is, why? Whom do they know? Why do they get them approved? It's not whom you know, but what kind of a project you have. If you have a very good project and you present it correctly, you'll get it approved. And number one of all things, once you go through the process, you plan your project, and you take it to the city or to the county, and they like it, and they allow you to submit it, and the project gets approved, you get your entitlements, you already have increased the value of your property substantially. Especially now when it takes a long time to go through the entitlement process. The entitlement process is expensive. Quite often you will have to go with your neighbors, along with your neighbors, to do it. You'll have to find attorneys that are trained to get this process, to take it through the process for you, to get the job done. But when it's done, you have achieved a milestone and the value is there already. After that, what do? You already, before you get it approved, must have planned how you will produce the infrastructure for your project. How you will provide roads for the project if the roads are not existing, or how you will mitigate the impact if the impact is adverse to the road system. Possibly to bring light rail if it's a major project, or to build an expressway, which happens quite often. And unfortunately, since Proposition 13, the developer and eventually the homeowner, the new homeowner, pays for all the cost of the infrastructure, which is unfortunate. Then you must provide the sewers, you must provide drainage, and the drainage may be either major lines or ponds where the water will gather during the rainstorms, and telephone and gas and electricity, etc. If you can provide those, you raise the value of your property substantially again. In order to do this infrastructure, the costs are enormous. And the state took this under consideration about 10 years ago, 8 years ago, and passed a law allowing a certain type of bond to go on the property that will benefit. They call that the Melrose bonds. And we have been using that quite often, and it's very successful. We're able to sell bonds at a very low interest rate, and it's quite beneficial. If you are unable to put a Melrose district together because your project is too small, or in the future they may not be selling, some of the other things that you can do to finance your project, of course, you go to your local bank, and now your local bank will turn your way. The S&Ls, if you can find one open, you'll be very lucky. But the pension funds will be coming in to this type of investment. And I believe within a year, even the banks will be willing to reinvest. And the reason is, we hope we'll have a new president that will get the regulators off the banks' back and allow them to make investments that are prudent and make money for the banks. And the banks will want to do it to make money. The range between short-term rates and long-term rates will shrink substantially in the next 9 months. Our feeling is that by the beginning of next summer, prime will be down probably 1% more, and long-term rates will be down substantially also. So the banks will not be able to borrow money at 3%, loan it to Uncle Sam at 6%, and do well and make a nice spread. That will not be there. So they will have to go back to loaning money for housing. We will not get out of this horrible recession until the housing market gets moving. Always. That's what pulls us out of the recession. Another way that if you're unable to do all of this, pre-sell part of your project. Go to a builder and show them your project. Tell them, look, in 6 months when the infrastructure is completed, you will pay $10 for this particular parcel. We will let you have it at a discount of 8 or 7.5, provided you're making a profit. You can afford to give that type of a discount. As a rule, when you buy a piece of raw land, you must believe that you can sell that land for at least 4 times what you purchase it for after you get the entitlements to make any money. It's that expensive and takes that long of a time to get the entitlements. It is very unfortunate that the bureaucracy is stifling development in California. It's taking way too long. And on that issue, I could talk for a long time. The idea that to get a lot split, and for you that do not know what a lot split is, if you have a piece of land that's 1,000 acres, and you want to plant a vineyard on 150 acres, and you want to get a loan on that, you have to go get permission from the county to do that. Do you know that you must pay a certain amount of money for the environmental director to give you a negative declaration that you do not need an EIR? What are we doing? And it takes close to 6 months to do it. And it's insanity where we're going. We've got to reverse it. All of us together, I think we've got to start talking to our politicians to change it. In EIR, $600 to get a line that we used to do 15 years ago. Why can't they have one person, staff person, to do that for us? But that's what we are faced with. So do take the opportunity to pre-sell some of the property if you can, so that you will cut your risk. Land is very risky, and whenever you can minimize your risk, do that, but do hold some of the land back. In other words, if you can sell half the land and get your money back, or your investors' money back quickly, keep the rest of it, then you can gamble with the rest of it and go a little further. And quite often you will do very well. Sometimes most of the profits are made from remnants. I'll tell you a little story. Back in the first part of the 70s, 76, we purchased a piece of land that was 1,000 acres. And at that time, real estate was not moving in Sacramento, but within 2 years after we got the entitlement, the real estate started moving. We have the 20-acre parcel left over in one of the corners. We got more money for the 20 acres than we paid for the whole amount, for the whole project. And this happens quite often. So the little pieces, don't give them away. Don't give anything away when you have land. Even if the land is they tell you it's not usable. They tell you it's no good, give it away. Don't give it away. Retain. All land has value. Somebody will find a use for it. At the same time, they were building Highway 5. And we had a piece of land where they want, this contractor wanted to dig to take some of the dirt out and pay us $25 a cubic yard for the dirt. Well, they went down about 40, 50 feet, and they created this huge hole in a lake. And we did very well. We got a lot of money. Later, the county purchased the property as a buffer for the sewer plant that was nearby, and they expanded it. So they wanted the land. And when they came to buy it, they said, well, you know, we're not going to give you anything for that hole in the ground. What's the value? And we say, you know, you're right, okay. A few months later, one of the contractors came to see us and said, hey, you know that piece of, that hole in the ground you have out by Franklin Boulevard, how much do you want for it? Well, we had sold it. I said, well, why would you want it? What would you do with it? What I was thinking was they had water in there, maybe they would raise catfish or something along those lines. What else would they do with it? He said, well, we have a lot of concrete. He was a builder, and we have a lot of concrete and blacktop, and we have to haul it 15 miles further away. If we can dump it there, we will pay you 50 cents for each cubic yard, twice as much as we sold the dirt for. Well, we had sold. So don't give away anything. When you are buying and selling, you make your money when you buy. The selling part is easy. You must buy right. If you buy wrong, if you pay too much, or if you buy the wrong piece of property, it'll take a miracle to get you out. So be careful how you buy. When you're selling, be as fair as you possibly can to the people that buy from you, and make sure you allow them a margin to make a profit. This will benefit you in many ways. The project, the person that buys your product will not go broke, and because if it goes broke, it gives a black eye to your development. So the development will be a good development, and he will do well and come back and buy more projects for you. Make a fair price profit and go on to the next deal. In the stock market, they say they have the bears and they have the bulls, and they all make money except the pigs. They get slaughtered. The same thing is true in the real estate business. Don't try to make the less penny. Let somebody else make a couple dollars. And before I leave, I want to share something that I heard yesterday. I went to a service. There was a non-Greek service, and this preacher quoted one of our ancestors, Philip of Macedonia, and he quoted him in a way that I never heard it. It says when Philip was leading his armies to unify all of Greece, whether he was out in the campaigns or in the palace, he had a slave wake him up every morning. And the slave would go in and wake him up, not by calling him Your Majesty or King or anything else. He would call him Philip. He would tell him, Philip, you will die. And I say this to remind all of us that we are passing through this life. We're not going to live forever. And whatever we build will not live for a long time. We go and we tear down people's dreams all the time. Subdivisions that were built 70, 80 years ago, the bulldozers go, the foundations are gone. At one time, those were dreams. Those people are gone. Their projects are gone. They're not remembered. The good deeds that we do for our people and our community is what stays behind. The development business is a community service. You will get rewarded very, very well if you do a good job. Work hard. Please. Quite a question. That's a very, very good question. That answer would be better given by our distinguished senator. Do you want to? I'll give you my idea. Yeah, it is that there are many forces in our community, and I have to admit that in past years, some of our fellow developers did a lot of misdeeds. We were cutting trees down without any regard. We're filling the bay without any attention. You know, forget what the hell. Dump all the stuff in the bay, do this, do that, and it backfired on us. And that, unfortunately, people that set these rules do not know how badly they are hurting the community. Some of the rules were absolutely necessary. Can you imagine the San Francisco Bay not being what it is? That would be horrible. If we had allowed the developers, we would have filled the whole thing. I mean, it was a roller skating rink, the whole thing. That's how it is. So some of it was necessary. Now, we have gone too far. And the pendulum is swinging. In Sacramento, we have a lady that's running for supervisor now who is considered a die-hard environmentalist, Jane Hagedorn. And she is coming out to us, the developers, and saying, tell us how we can reinvent government. Why do we need to have an inspector to go to inspect a porch that somebody builds that has no electricity or plumbing, yet it takes a week to send a policeman to check somebody's house that's been burglarized? Says, well, we got to stop that. Now here is a die-hard environmentalist, but they are understanding because the people like us are yelling and saying, hey, that's enough, we've got to cut this out. It's raising the cost of housing too high. But some of it we deserve. But the other is that we are not doing a good enough job to educate the bureaucrats and the politicians to change the laws. Yes. I don't know that it will. I'm partisan, okay? I mean, you know, I'm a Democrat and all of that. I'm hoping it will. I'm hoping that the idea that only Nixon could go to China, only Clinton can go to Congress and get them to work with him so that we can solve our economic problems. I don't like Clinton's idea that there will be no long-term capital gain. That is, in my opinion, is wrong. It's short-sighted. Kennedy put long-term capital gains when he became president, the first thing that he did, and started the economy rolling. We have to create capital before the capital is invested, before jobs get started. And I don't understand, but I think he can learn, he will learn. At least he will be working in concord with the Congress, where this guy, the Congress will be throwing rocks at him. He's calling him every name. Not only that, well, you don't want to hear what I mean.
You made a comment about you check and inspect reports in your question. What about because the government, because of lawsuits per se, no one does check that report and someone gets hurt? I'm only using that as a broad example. What I think, what I'm trying to lead to is that something that is coming up with the political situation and politics now about too many lawsuits and the time, the red tape, all of this goes to. What kind of a direction can we look for around that with lawsuits? We have to have lawsuits for protection of our own health in some form.
More responsibility is what you're saying, and that's what Jane Hagedorn is saying. We will give you the conditions that you should build your porch or your whatever you're going to open your window. Now go do it. We're not going to be your big brother to watch you day and night. That is the idea. Yes.
Could you tell us some other areas in North California where growing and good land development projects?
Every city up and down the valley, except don't go where they have class 1 soil. Don't go to Woodland. Don't go to Davis, because that soil you must not develop. I think not too long from now, with the world population increasing the way it is, we'll realize how important the soils of California are, especially Northern California, where we have water, and we will stop developing. We've got to preserve it for our grandchildren. Otherwise, we'll do to the Sacramento Valley what we did to Los Angeles, and that is wipe out some of the most fertile land there is. We must build in the foothills and other areas, Redding, Red Bluff, places like that. The foothills around the Nut Tree will be exceptional investments. Some of the places near Tracy, on those foothills, east of Stockton, on those foothills, you will see substantial growth.